Hello and welcome. It is day 4 of our week of Natasha Denona here on my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a looky look with the Glam Face and Eye palette in the dark version, which is actually the one that I had originally bought when these palettes were released. And then I kind of fell in love with the metallic formula of these eyeshadows and I purchased the light one, and I don't know why I'm telling you all of that instead of starting to apply my makeup because I have to go to work at some point. I'm going to apply my Inglot eyeshadow primer. In other exciting news, as I am filming this, it is June 1st, meaning it is release day, meaning that we're getting cream blushes from Pat McGrath Labs. And as I said, I haven't really changed my mind about what I'm going to order. I'm going to get the quad, even though it was pointed out to me that it seems like none of the shades in that quad are actually in the flaky rose fire nectar type formula. And when I went back to Pat's Instagram, because as you all know, I've been cut off of Instagram. Let's do the Dior Backstage Foundation FYI. I've been cut off of Instagram because my feed is just broken. It refuses to update and I basically see the same like few posts on repeat for the past 2 weeks now. I don't know if it will ever be fixed, but now if I'm interested in information about certain brands or I want to look up what certain people are up to, I actually have to go to their personal pages, which is quite annoying if I'm being honest with you. So unfortunately I wasn't really aware of the fact that she had released a few reels using this palette, and in one of those reels they show quite a nice close-up of the palette being used, and by the looks of it I took a screenshot. I investigated the screenshot with a confocal microscope just to make sure that I've investigated every little detail, and from what I can tell nothing is in the flaky formula. They just look like, you know, good old metallic shades, which, why is there a hair on my face? Which unfortunately is slightly disappointing because from the original like release video it honestly seemed like we were getting a lot of those flaky type shades. I am going to put a little bit of my Auric Glow Lust because I want to see how the new Dior concealer that I picked up, which you will already have seen on my channel. For you it will probably already be about a week ago, but for me it was literally just yesterday, and I want to see how that concealer also works over the top of my beloved Auric Glow Lust. I'm going to take the Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer in the shade 1N. So that is disappointing. I don't know how to feel about that. I truly hope that these shades have something special to offer and they will be, you know, a bit more interesting than what they seem like. I applied quite a bit of this concealer, didn't I? I'm going in with a heavy hand because I wore this all day yesterday and it performed beautifully. Not for a single second did it look aging or drying on my under eyes. I love this concealer, and right now it's looking so nice, and it doesn't change the consistency of how it looks like. Yesterday I didn't apply anything hydrating underneath and it didn't dry out my under eyes. It didn't look cakey, it didn't look like it had settled into creases, it hadn't drunk up all the moisture from my skin, which is, you know, the aspects in which the Huda concealer had become quite the offender, especially over the course of the day. That concealer really loved to soak up all the hydration underneath my eyes. This one is just looking absolutely flawless. I love it. Grabbing the Dior Backstage powder in the shade 2N. Let's also quickly do brows. I'm going to take the Too Faced Laminating Brow Wax. So I watched also a video from Morgan Turner. I don't really follow her channel anymore, but I was made aware that she had already demoed the cream blushes prior to the release because she received PR from Pat McGrath Labs. So I went to quickly watch the video, and one little concerning thing is that these blushes seem to be they seem really shiny and like the kind of formula that maybe doesn't quite set. So I am curious what that's going to look like and perform on me, because I don't know that I necessarily would enjoy the formula like that. So I'm very curious. I'm going to bronze up with the Dior Forever Natural Bronze. This one is in the shade Deep Bronze. Ooh, let's see how this is going to go with this specific brush, because this shade is quite a deep one for me, and this is the first time that I'm using this brush from Sonia G to apply it. Oh, it's working out just fine. This formula is so nice. Such a beautiful, silky, blendable formula. I've really kind of fallen in love with this bronzer. I may be a little bit less chatty in this video and just like do the makeup and do a little bit of speed throughs because I'm feeling a little bit tired. I think I've been filming for like 4 or 5 days straight now, which is really unheard of for me. I usually don't really film that often. I will film like once or twice a week, and I will only film, you know, right after each other on like very exceptional circumstances, and very exceptional circumstances are usually the release of a new Mothership palette. And as much as I love my Natasha Denona palettes, they are old and they do not excite me enough for me to have the energy to be excited every day. For my blush and highlighter, I am actually just going to stick to the Glam Face and Eye palette because I love both face products that come in here. I love like the whole thing, both the light and the dark version. The only reason I didn't use the blush the other day was because I wanted to show you something different. But I loved also the specific like tone of this blush because it is a bit of that terracotta type shade. And I will pick that up on a like dense synthetic brush because it is more of a cream formula than it is a powder formula. And then I'm going to blend that out with like sort of like stipple motions just to move the product around. Taking the highlighter, I also quickly watched Martina's video because I also think it was the first video on the Yucca palette, demoing the Yucca palette, and now I'm even more convinced that I don't think I'm actually going to buy that palette. As beautiful as it looks like, and these metallics seem to be some sort of like a new formula from Natasha Denona, or at least that's what she seems to be referring to, some new sparkling metallic shade formula. I just don't know that on the eye I found them that impressive. Martina said they were really impressive, so maybe I just wasn't paying attention or my screen just wasn't picking up the subtleties of these eyeshadows, but on screen at least I didn't really experience a wow, I need this palette kind of moment. I'm going to spritz my sponge with a bit of Fix Plus to melt all the face products together. So did you guys pick it up? If you have already picked it up and tried it, because I think by the time that you're seeing this video, some of you will have already picked it up. What do you think about it? Is it really that special? Am I missing on something? Please let me know. This is a smokier palette, as you can tell from the depth of the colors that are present in here, and it's not really meant to be a smokier palette. It is a smokier palette for me because I have a lighter skin tone, but this was in fact just meant for people of a deeper skin tone, which is why respectively the shades are a lot deeper than the ones in the light palette. But that is not to say that you can't achieve a bit of a more toned down look if you really wanted to. You could always go with this shade and this shade on the lid, or this one and this one on the lid, and then just call it a day. That's totally possible, but if you dip into any of the outer shades, the look is going to get real smoky real fast. So because this palette like kind of like invites you to do something a little bit darker, I am not quite sure what I want to do today. Do I want to use all the shades in the palette, or do I want to stick to a few of them? You know what, I think I maybe just stick to a few of them. I'm going to put this one through my crease with a very light hand. I'm going to use the smoky shade in my usual like winked out shape to create a little bit of a false cat eye effect. And then I'm going to pop this one all over my lids because it is my favorite shade in this palette. It is such a beautiful shade, not only because it's in that exceptional metallic eyeshadow formula that she has, but because it has a bit of a duochromy effect to it. It has like that taupey overlay shimmery part, and then the base color is a bit of like a ruddy, rusty brick type of shade, and I really enjoy this eyeshadow. I'm going to, like I said, go with a very light hand into the transition shade. Man, I didn't realize I was so tired and out of words until I started filming this video. I was also doing a little bit of practicing for my singing lesson because every time I go to have my lesson, she does this like breathing exercise with me where I have to like do something and then release and do something and then release. And it's something that you can basically do very quickly even when you're like taking a shower or something, and I try to do it every day, but every time I go to my lessons she's like, so did you do this every day for the past like 2, 3 or however weeks it's been between my lessons? And I'm like, I tried my best, and in reality I like only did it a few times. So now I'm really making it a point to do a little bit of exercises in the morning while I'm just like walking around, or this specific exercise while I'm in the shower. I think it's a breathing exercise. But then I started to also practice the song that I'm currently, you know, trying to learn with her. And I think that just got me a little bit extra tired, and I'm just not feeling the talking this morning. So, sorry about that. Taking this deeper shade now to smoke out on the lash line. And she finally let me, actually I don't know if I've ever told you that, she asks me what I want to sing, and then I pretty much will always be like, well, you know, I really like Broadway musicals, so I would really like to practice something from a Broadway musical. And usually she gives me this look with like, oh, you sweet summer child, you really think you can sing something from a Broadway musical? Which, legit, yes. I am not a vocalist, I am basically like the amateurist of amateurs. But you know, if she asks me what I want to sing, I want to sing Broadway musicals. So every time we have this conversation, we end up with like some sort of like a pop song, because that's what she deems better for me. But now finally, she has let me sing something from a Broadway musical. So we are now practicing Mama Who Bore Me from Spring Awakening, because, you know, I went to Spring Awakening and I was all about that song, and I kind of started like practicing it on my own. And then last time we had a lesson, obviously she had never heard, like she's not into Broadway, so she'd never heard of Spring Awakening or this song. But then she heard it, and then we started practicing it, and she was like, oh, this is actually a really good song for you to practice. So she has finally let me sing something from a Broadway musical. Score. Taking a little bit of glitter glue, this one is from NYX, to apply on my moving lid so that we can apply the sparkly shade over top of that. I'm going to apply this shade with a flat shader brush, because I do think this specific formula really benefits from being applied with a brush, as I also mentioned, I think, in the video that I did with the light version of this palette. I think just this shade just becomes more reflective the more you shear it out with a brush. It's not the kind of shade where you want to like pack and pack and pack for pigmentation. You want to apply it and then do those swipey motions so that you really reveal that reflective, shiny nature of the eyeshadow. I really like this eyeshadow, it's so pretty. I took my little Glam palette because I actually want to use this shade here as an inner corner highlight. It's literally the only shade we're going to use from the Glam palette, but you can see a little sneak peek because the Glam palette is the final palette that we're going to feature in this series. So I decided that I actually want to put this one, this one on my lower lashes, because it is such a beautiful shade of brown that I can't imagine not incorporating it into the look in some sort of way. But because I'm also going to have a really long day, I like to secure these types of eyeshadows with a little bit of my Intensifies from Pat McGrath Labs. So I'm going to run a little bit of that here on the lower lashes, just so that dark eyeshadow sticks and doesn't move too much throughout the day. And then I'm going to use my little pencil brush again and dip into that shade and run that here underneath my lower lashes. This dress begs to be worn with a red lipstick, and I kind of had a hankering for Rouge 8 from Pat McGrath Labs, which, by the way, was on a ridiculous sale. Oh yeah, speaking of sale, maybe I should make a little confession here. Pat was having a sale, and in her special sales offers this past weekend, she had a bunch of things literally 50% off, including the comeback of Bronze Bliss and Nude Allure, like the little quints from her holiday collection. And I mentioned in my ranking video that I was really tempted to buy a backup of Bronze Bliss, and trust me, I did my best. I truly did. I tried to reason with myself, I tried to use my logic, I tried to like remind myself of my own lessons that I have shared here on makeup, to not buy backups of color cosmetics. And I broke not one but two of my rules in the process. First of all, I did buy a backup of Bronze Bliss because it was 17 euros. It was literally half off. And I've seen people on Vinted trying to sell that shit for like 40 euros. So I was like, fuck off. If I ever run out of that palette, I'm going to have my own backup, thank you please. And second of all, I bought something that I would not have bought unless it was on sale, which is the Nude Allure Quint, which is not really my color story, but because I love that formula so much, that formula that's featured in the quiz, I was like, okay, I'm just going to buy it, and worst case scenario, if I don't like it, I can always gift it to someone, and I didn't like waste too much money. And they had this lipstick also for 17 euros, which truly, for the packaging, which you're getting inside the color, is truly a steal. So I hope that you saw this, and those of you who were lusting after this lipstick and after this color were maybe able to get it 50% off. Anyway, now that confessions are over and the look is done, actually, how did you like the look? Please let me know how you liked the look. I mean, these like face Glam and I palettes are not extremely versatile in what they can achieve, but you know, they always give me really beautiful and reliable looks, and I actually really like how this look turned out. Let me know what you thought about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!